Whatever struggle or excitement or even wins that my team has, I go through that with them and I celebrate that with them, or I help them through it, at least by showing concern. The equation of our success is 90% people, 10% process.
And that was one of the things that I wanted to embody, because as I build my relationship with Jesus, that was one of the things that he embodied was those three things: consistency, discipline, and commitment.
If you don't have consistency and discipline in what you're doing every day, then it falls apart.
Welcome back to the Level Up and Live podcast. I'm your host, Sean Meyers, and today I'm sitting down with a leader who's building at the intersection of business, technology, and faith. Brooke Beasley, the one and only, is an insurance agency owner, a co-founder of a tech startup, and a leadership strategist who's helping business owners modernize how they lead, scale, and serve. In this conversation, we're pulling back the layers on leadership, innovation, faith, and what it really takes to build forward-thinking, people-centered businesses without losing your values and what matters most. Brooke, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, Sean. Stoked to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Let's go. Now, for people meeting you for the first time or listening to you on the podcast, meeting you at a coffee shop, mastermind group, who is Brooke Beasley today, and what season of leadership are you currently in?
Still trying to figure that out most days. I am always trying to evolve, but for the most part, I am a business owner. We own a couple of insurance agencies in the Houston, Texas area or market, both Medicare and health insurance and property and casualty agencies. And we're building technology that will help agencies scale. So we're moving into the B2B market, which is a whole new world for us. But who I am at my core is a Jesus lover, a saver of my soul. But honestly, I'm also someone that's super, super passionate. When I get behind something, I am all in. And so whatever that is, if it's a million different things, I spread myself a little too thin sometimes. But I'm very passionate, and I'm behind whatever it is I believe in and I'm pushing towards. So that's me in a nutshell.
Now, you're running an insurance agency while also building a tech platform, which is super impressive. And I heard you earlier, sometimes we can spread ourselves super thin, like with being entrepreneurs, we get this squirrel mentality. Squirrel, let's just start this other thing. I'm curious, what prompted the shift from operating a business to building systems that actually scales leaders and agencies?
It was needing it within our own agencies. My brother is the AI genius behind this technology. It is an AI-based platform that will create for you, which is amazing. It'll create workflows. It will create processes, automated emails and text messages to clients that has to whatever level you want it to. And my brother is the AI engineer behind that. And so we went to him, me and my other business partners who are operators within the agencies, and said, hey, we need custom reporting. We need some prompting and workflows set up so that as these leads come in, they're worked immediately if our team isn't available, so the lead doesn't get cold. And so Brennan created some of these, said, you know what, we can customize whatever it is you need for both the local heritage benefits agency, which is the Medicare agency, and our property and casualty agencies. If I build it from AI, then we can customize it from there, and it can learn and create for you. And we were like, well, heck yeah, let's sell that. If that's something that we need, that's so innovative, let's sell it to other business owners and insurance agency owners, but also business owners long-term, and make a profit off of it, but also help others scale. So yeah.
That's really interesting to me, because AI and automation, it scares a lot of leaders and a lot of business owners. Even for my insurance brokerage, a little over 10 years now, it has been expressed with some of my team members that it will lose human connection. It will lower losing culture or trust because we're relying on AI or artificial intelligence or a robot. So I'm curious your point of view, and I know our listeners and viewers as well, is how do you think about using technology? Because there's a mindset there to really help scale without losing what I just talked about, the culture, the trust, and the human connection. How do you think about using it?
Yeah, you're right. It absolutely is. There is a risk of that happening if you don't learn how to work with it and encourage and find ways to have AI work for you, and not replace you. And so you do have to learn how to prompt it correctly, and use it in ways that builds the business up. And so I think that the biggest thing is to encourage your team to start using it and asking it questions. Just ask ChatGPT, Gemini, as many questions as you can think of. I always tell people to start with the question of what are you capable of helping me with? This is the line of business that I'm in, or even if you're just a dad or a mom, I'm trying to figure out the best ways to use AI to help you as a parent. Even ask it questions to see what its capabilities are, and then of course you need to be able to use your own put your own touch behind that. So it can help develop a process to work new leads, for example. As soon as they come in, it can send a text or an email out to the new lead, to the client, letting them know that you're working on getting them on the calendar. And hey, what day is best for you? That doesn't replace you. That's an assistant, an AI assistant that helps set up an appointment that you and your team doesn't have to do. That doesn't lose any kind of human connection, because guess who's going to be at that appointment? You, right? So I think that you just got to find ways to like that. How can it be an assistant for you that will allow you to maximize your time? But yeah, we don't want AI to replace us. As soon as the day that happens, which I guess it could be possible in our future, is going to be a scary time. But if we all start learning how to work with it now, I think we can prevent that from happening.
Yeah, I agree with that, and getting ahead of it and almost riding the wave. And if I always have this mentality of, if I'm not willing and able to actually dive deep and spend 12 hours a day on AI, I want to know a little bit about it, just enough to
Mhm.
have that competitive advantage. But more so, I think I'm in a place of season of life as a leader, and even our viewers and listeners, I would empower them as well to, okay, if it's not something that interests you or depletes your energy, then hire somebody to do that. Bring somebody on your team that, you said your brother is the wizard behind that, and being able to be in unity and alignment with him, and you can really do something special with that,
That's
because
really
that,
true.
you know what I mean? So with that interest. So now I'm curious, you've grown teams. I've seen some of your social media, and I love some of the work that you are putting in behind the scenes, and just getting to know a little bit about Brooke Beasley and the companies that you're building. What have you learned about building businesses that are profitable but still deeply people centered? Because I know we've talked a little bit about AI, automation, but building these businesses, what would you say that you've learned about building them and then maintaining, keeping the profits and then keeping it people centered as well?
You know what? The way to do that is to take interest in what they take interest in, and that is a huge desire of mine, and always will be, because I'm a empath. I'm a people person. God just created me that way, and so it is a joy for me to understand people's struggles, because it allows me to help in some way. And joy is not the right word, I guess, but it's an interest of mine. It's so whatever struggle or excitement or even wins that my team has, I go through that with them and I celebrate that with them, or I help them through it, at least by showing concern. Hey, Brooke, I'm going to be late this morning because I've got, my grandma just passed and I need some time. Well, take the day to figure that out, right? Whenever they have a birthday or anniversary here, take the week. Actually, you lose your grandma, gosh. But some team members don't want to stop. They think that if they do, they could lose their job, right? So showing them, giving them confidence that when life happens, that you're there to support them through it and to offer them the grace that they need to get through it. Also celebrating their wins, their birthdays. We decorate their desks for their birthday when they come in. Every single team member, we've got about 35 employees, and every single one. Now our managers take point in that, because I can't do it for every single one anymore. So if you're on, if one of your team members has a birthday coming up, HR notifies the management team, and the managers decorate their desk. We give chocolate dipped fruit for every anniversary and make it a big hoopla, right? Can I get everybody's attention? We got an anniversary in the house. Roger has been with us for 2 years, and this rock star is a huge part of our team, and we appreciate you, Roger. It took me 5 minutes to run down to their desk to give that delivery, but it does so much for the trust bank that you're trying to build with your team. And so if you're trying to build a culture, that's the key, is invest in what is important to them. When they hit a milestone at the office, you better be celebrating that big. If not with an award or a trophy, some shout outs, and you bring them lunch the next day. So find creative ways to bring that energy in. And you know what else we do, which is kind of goofy, but it's so fun, and the guys love it. There's these little buttons that we recorded. You can get them off Amazon. They're little like little buttons that you hit, kind of like a bell. But when you hit the button, you can record your voice. So our hype guy, one of my business partners, the sales guy, the sales manager over one of our bigger teams, it's his voice, and he recorded it, and it says, "Let's go." And so every time they make a sell, they hit the button, and we hear Ryan's voice. Let's go. And so and people can't wait to hit it because it's just part of the culture. So
Man, I'm going to have to look into that because that sounds like something exactly aligned with my personality. I'll have to look into that.
you should, Sean. I think that would be good. Put your voice. I don't know what you would say in it, but something fun.
Something along the lines of that.
Level up and live, my friends.
That's right. Break it down. 1, 2, 3, level up and live.
That's right.
That's cool. Well, so take us through a season. I'm curious, and I know our listeners as well. What's been one season of growth for you that has really stretched you personally as a leader? You mind sharing that? Anything come to mind?
Yeah, a couple things. One of the biggest things was when we launched a new agency, Medicare agency, and there's these cyclical times of year. One of them is called annual enrollment period, and it was our first big one with a full team. And it was scary because I knew I had to invest a lot of money into something that I wouldn't see until January. So it starts in October, and we don't get paid for the policies we write until January, but I pay my team monthly. And so I knew we had to kill it because we needed the money and the revenue coming in January, but I also didn't want to, like, the other side of my brain was like, well, crud, we can't kill it. I don't want to be out $50,000 until money comes in January, or more than that. Actually, it could be more than that.
Yeah.
And so there was this hard time for me for a little bit trying to figure out what we do. And I realized, you know what? We've always figured it out. Never do I want to hold back. And so that's why I didn't join in September. I met Sean last summer, and I was like, I've got to give it my all because my team is deserving of that. The business that we've invested a ton of money and time into is deserving of that. And I've got to give it my all to figure this thing out and see how we can do it better next year, but also be present. And so that was a really trying time because it was scary. And guess what? We made it through. Money came in as it was supposed to. We were able to sell other ancillary products to help fund what we were doing in the interim. And then when the big money came in January, it was all worth it. We've got a pretty tight-knit team up here now too, because this is a newer agency. And so God's good, man. I've always told people that I think the biggest part of our success or the equation of our success is 90% people, 10% process. Because if you have good people working a bad process, that doesn't work. But you definitely can't have great processes and terrible people. And then a sprinkle of God's grace, right? 90% people, 10% process, and a sprinkle of God's grace, because we all need that. And also a sprinkle's all he needs to give us because he's that powerful. And so I leaned into that a lot, leaned into him a lot last season, and we came out alive, Sean. I'm grateful.
So diving a little deeper on that in that season, because I know you reached out to me and typically with an individual like you that sees the value of something like Level Up and Live. And then you made that choice. I fully respected that. And I was like, oh man, I know what she's in a season of where she needs to put her head down and focus, make this a priority for the next 3 or 4 months. So completely respect that. And for you being self-aware to be able to do just that. But I'm curious, in that journey, who did you have to become in that season, the last 3 or 4 months, in that process, in that journey?
I had to become incredibly disciplined and consistent. And I think there's the 2 words that I'm kind of circling back to a lot in my mind lately, because I've recognized that those two disciplines or character traits are something that I have to embody. When you're starting something new as a startup, or if you're a $100 million company, if you don't have consistency and discipline in what you're doing every day, then it falls apart. And so those were 2 things that I had to kind of dial into. And if I'm honest, the consistency I had, but the discipline to do certain things in a timely manner and not feel like a hamster on a hamster wheel, I struggled with. And I'm telling you, Sean, the first week this year in Level Up and Live, it was my first week in, they talked about time blocking. And I was like, son of a gun, man, if that's not the one thing that I need more in my life than anything right now, this is the right place for me, because that was what I got out of the first week of Level Up and Live is you got to learn how to time block. And why? Because it makes you a more effective leader. If you say no to outside distractions that are keeping you from dialing into what it is you need to get done that day, then you end up being a hamster on a hamster wheel. And that was me. I was totally a hamster on a hamster wheel last season, last semester, but not anymore. I have put that practice into place, and on my calendar it says something like, I'll have to send you a screenshot later. But from 10 to 11, I have something that says kill it or slay it on the sales floor from 10 to 11 every day.
Let's go.
And then from 2 to 3, I say smash it on the sales floor. So one thing that I realized I wasn't doing is I wasn't making enough time to be on the sales floor with our team, which means I'm not listening to conversations. I'm not seeing mistakes happen. I'm not seeing wins and celebrating their wins to get them excited about the small things that get them to their monthly goal. I was missing a lot. So the discipline, I had the discipline in a way, right? Because I had the work ethic, but I didn't have it structured. And so the consistency with structure and discipline to follow that structure, I know will take me to new levels this year.
Wow, so powerful. And it's so interesting that you're saying that, because I wrote out a social media post. It was probably, I don't know, a month ago. And I learned this from Ed Milet and a couple other mentors. They have one theme per year. And whether it's peace or kindness or do hard things or get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that was one of the things that I wanted to embody, because as I build my relationship with Jesus, that was one of the things that he embodied was those three things: consistency, discipline, and commitment. If you can do those things and have those traits like Jesus did, man, it's not if, but when you get to where you want to go and who you want to become in that journey. And knowing that, I'm just going to along the way and then surround myself with the Brooke Beasleys of the world so we can hold each other to higher standards in accountability and love, kindness, and humility. And that's where that iron sharpens iron is. So I hear what you're saying. It's really good.
And you know what? What's crazy is when you say iron sharpens iron, the people that you put around you matter. If you don't believe that, look at your kids or kids in general. The kids that end up being pulled into the bad groups or doing bad things are the kids that surrounded themselves with those types of people. And so kids are more impressionable, we think. But I think as adults, we're just as impressionable because we care about community. We want to be a part of something. So surround yourself with people that matter, that are in alignment with you. I completely agree with that. I see that with my own children too. I always tell my little girl, Emery, I'm like, baby, you're a leader and you will always be doing things that might be different from the rest to go against the grain. There's nothing wrong with that. And she's figuring herself out right now. But yeah, align yourself with people like you, Sean. I love being in your group. It's a wonderful group to be a part of on a weekly basis where there's other leaders that have the same mentality to win, and it's to do the hard things. You get to win, you have to do the hard things.
Yes.
So
yeah, amen. That's where the test, when you get tested physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, when you get tested, that becomes your testimony. So you can bridge that gap in that ladder for other individuals that are on that same path. So I love that you share that. I do want to add this though. One of the things that I've learned about Level Up and Live in the mastermind and just life in general and just business in general, I used to think like, oh, I only want to surround myself with people that only think like me. And over the years, I've really learned that that's really not going to expand my being, my mindset. And what I mean by that is understanding different perspectives. If everybody is like Sean or everybody thinks like Sean, then I'm not going to really see the world from a bigger picture and understanding people in their different perspective. And let me tell you something, Brooke, bringing these leaders and these business owners and entrepreneurs and surrounding ourselves, and you're going to learn this in this journey as well, is understanding the different perspectives. Because that's where I have been challenged probably in the last 6 to 12 months is I may say one thing, but then there's another leader that I respect that sees the world in a different lens and understanding their perspective and receiving it from them. He's not thinking like me. Yes, we're in alignment. It's an agree to disagree, but I am trying to be more of a leader that where I can meet them where they are instead of disagreeing and being closed-minded. And
right.
You see what I'm saying? And
yes.
And it's a beautiful place to be. And I want our listeners and viewers to receive that as well. It's like whoever it is that you come across, there's always something to learn from them, especially the people that you do life with. So I just figured I'd slip that in there. because I think
That's
that's
so
so
true.
important and powerful. I want to kind of shift gears a little bit and tap into faith. I'm curious with you, how does your faith and what you're going through with your relationship with Jesus influence the way you lead, especially when you're making these big decisions in multiple businesses and the big things that you're doing? How does that faith influence the way you lead?
So God gives us grace every single day, and it's just such a humbling reminder when you focus there every morning. Hey, today I'm going to be giving grace to somebody because I'm giving it every morning. It renews every morning. And so it's something that I can extend if it's extended to me. And that's ultimately the foundation of my leadership is what grace can I impart on others so that so that they know that they're welcome, they know that they're good, they know that they have opportunity and potential. And one downfall, three downfalls, three mistakes is not going to change that they have potential. Now you want to keep growing, you don't want to stay stagnant. And so you want to pair that grace with structure and expectation and clarity. Clarity is kindness. My husband always says that. It's so true.
Yeah.
If you give somebody expectations in the beginning of a relationship, of a opportunity, then if those expectations aren't hit or met, then that conversation goes a little bit smoother because it was clear and understanding from the beginning. But yeah, grace, God's grace allows me to lead from that place as best I can. God knows that I get frustrated and do things that I'm not supposed to, Sean, and later I kick myself for it. And I'm like, man, why was I so unforgiving in that moment? But it renews every morning, so I'm a work in progress for sure.
Where do you feel like leaders get this wrong? Like you're working on becoming a student of the game, giving grace, and that's backed by your faith. Where do you, from your experience and your point of view, where do you feel like leaders get that wrong on giving grace?
Uh, you know what? They probably expect too much of themselves, and in return, that projects on their team or others is probably what I would guess. I mean, that's what I would assume. Yeah. What do you see?
Yeah, for me, it would be, I think, the pressure of life. So I can give somebody grace. One, I think you had mentioned it earlier, one, two, three times. But where do we draw that line in the sand? And I think a lot of times we're not, like you said, we're pointing the finger and we're looking at the other person and we're criticizing, we're judging. You're not meeting these expectations, but all 99.9% of the time, we need to be looking at ourselves. What do we need to do differently? And I feel like that's what leaders get wrong. And versus pointing the finger, yes, you can give grace all day long because this person's not meeting those expectations. But at the end of the day, 99.9% of the time, I'm the leader. Maybe I'm not clear on something. Maybe I'm not communicating effectively. Maybe they didn't receive it the way I communicated it. So I believe
Right.
that's where leaders get it wrong is they don't take ownership and look inward before looking outward. So I'm a student of the game. I'm still doing the same thing, but that's the whole point. Like we're imperfect action takers and making sure that we're surrounding ourselves with individuals that can hold us to those higher standards, like yourself going, hey, Sean, I know what you're trying to do there, but this is how it was perceived or received.
That's hard to receive as a leader when someone brings that to your attention, isn't it?
100%. So
You know,
hard.
it's easy to speak and so much harder to take action on. So yeah, be willing to accept corrective criticism. There's something that an old pastor taught me a long time ago called creative tension, and it was before I even got into leadership myself, probably 15, 20 years ago. And I've read about creative tension since then, and creative tension is so necessary. We've talked a little bit about, yes, surrounding yourself with people that are not yes men. Sean, you mentioned that earlier, and that's so true. Yeah, putting people around you that can bring you hard things, that can bring up good conversation that might be uncomfortable, but then the next step is be willing to listen, be willing to take action on that, and be willing to apologize and move forward.
It is very hard. And from my experience, leaders and even business owners and entrepreneurs, they don't know how to have those conversations. And they don't know how to have those hard conversations. And I have just learned this recently. And there's a whole book on this, on how to have hard conversations. So I actually picked up the book and I have my notes. I'm like, when I have to have a hard conversation, there's like a 8-step process. You got to check your heart. You got to pray about it. You got to meditate on it. And then by the time you have the hard conversation, you're coming from a place of love, kindness, humility. And then that other person is able to receive it
Yeah, that's
differently.
great. That's great. Preparing your heart for those conversations.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because we're human. That
Yeah.
pride kicks in real quick
Yep.
as soon as someone pulls something out.
Those emotions and thoughts and feelings, they sometimes get
Yeah.
the best of us. So, One of my final
Yeah.
questions for you is I'm curious, what are you building toward right now? And what would you tell a leader, somebody listening to this who knows they need to modernize what we've talked about, but feels overwhelmed, feels stuck, feels lost, feels frustrated? What would you tell them?
Hmm. I don't know if this is meant to be a pointed question or not, but I'm going to take it and run with it because I think that it's something that's true, no matter if this is what you meant or not. But I would say find your group, find your crew that can help hold you accountable, that can help celebrate your wins. Because as leaders, we need to do the same thing that we're wanting and practicing. We're wanting to do and practicing with our own teams or those around us that we're leading. So find a group that will help do those same things with you. I joined Level Up and Live, and it's really going to be a great thing for me. I saw it in my very first meeting. It was exactly what I needed. Timing wasn't right last year, so timing does matter. Sometimes if you're building a foundation for something, you have to build the foundation first. You can't start building that skyscraper without a very strong foundation. But yeah, you need to find a group that a group of friends, a group of fellow people that have the same ideas as you, the same mindset toward growth, the same motivation and drive that will hold you accountable to certain goals and to help you set goals. That would be my encouragement. Level Up and Live has been great. And if you're in the Conroe, Woodlands, Tomball Spring area, Montgomery, Willis, wherever, if you're in this area, you need to come join or come join us for at least one meeting. I think people are allowed to come for several before they have to sign up, right?
Yes. Yeah. For 4 weeks. And just for the record, I was not intentionally having you plug that. You spoke from the heart on that. So
I did.
You might be Level Up and Live's future spokes lady. So
it's been a good thing for me. And I'm excited to finish out the rest of the year. Hopefully other people can come experience it for themselves.
God is good. He's definitely got his hand on his community, and giving all glory goes to him. So at the end of the day, it's not a one person show. It's definitely individuals like you that come in, embody and live and breathe it and be on this journey with us together. So Brooke, I really appreciate you today. We had a couple of technical areas at the very, very early stages, and we actually had to shoot this episode again. So thank you for your time, your energy, and your effort today, and really leading with clarity, conviction, and courage on what you're building, the businesses, and your forward thinking. So without losing what matters most to you, health, relationships, and spirituality, right?
That's true. Very true. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure, Sean.
Of course. How can our Level Up and Live community, how can we support you? You've been nothing but valuable today for us. How can we support you?
Carry it forward. That's what I would say. Bring something that you learned today. I know what I learned today is a good reminder that making sure that my team knows I don't want yes men. That I want to know what I can do to grow and get better. So thank you for that, Sean. A very good reminder. So take something that you learned today and pay it forward.
Love that. So if this conversation resonated with you, go connect with Brooke. She is definitely a woman and a leader that you want to follow. Check out her work and give her a follow. And as always, keep leveling up and keep living with intention. Thanks again, Brooke.
Thank you, Sean. Bye, guys.